What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, I'm going to be upgrading my daily driving mouse. Daily driver mouse, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to be upgrading from my Razer Deathadder to the glorious Model D in matte white. But no, seriously, this thing's white. It's matte white, and it's pretty dope. Now, why would I want to upgrade a wired ergonomic gaming mouse to a slightly better looking and hella RGB ergonomic gamer mouse? The answer is simple: because I wanted to. Now, don't get me wrong, this Razer Deathadder packs a serious punch, but the glorious Model D hits just a little bit harder. Now, this is by no means an apples to apples comparison. I mean, the glorious Model D, dramatically lighter, cooler RGB effects. Did I mention it comes in matte white? But it's more just comparing the two and mostly just the profile and the ergonomics of the two that I want to look at today. Now, because these mice are roughly the same price, I think it's a pretty good upgrade path, as a Deathadder V2 is going to set you back right around 50 bucks, and a glorious Model D is also at that $49.99 mark for the wired one. Now, when you get into wireless, like the Deathadder V3 Pro or the Model D wireless, those are going to be upwards of like 80 bucks. So again, I'm not necessarily comparing the glorious Model D to the Razer Deathadder Essential, mostly because when it comes to RGB lighting, this thing only does green. Shout out Razer. But when it comes to ergonomic gaming mice that have a good profile for your hand, whether you're doing content creation, video editing, gaming, etc., the Model D profile and the Deathadder profile are very similar yet different. So let's jump into the specs and see what these things are all about. But before we jump into the video, I'd like to give a huge shout out to today's video sponsor, My Hopes and Dreams. With My Hopes and Dreams, you can have very, very high expectations with very low standards on if things will actually bridge that gap. My Hopes and Dreams is a free, easy to use platform, and it relies heavily on the imagination of an unrealistic daydreamer. Millionaire by 25? No shot in hell. But that doesn't matter because they are the sponsor of today's video. So huge shout out to My Hopes and Dreams for letting me down yet again. But let's get back to it. Now, the glorious Model D is kind of like the bigger, chunkier, older brother of the infamous Model O, which is an ambidextrous gaming mouse by Glorious. It's a little bit more popular, it's a little bit lighter, a little bit smaller in the hand. However, I chose the Model D because I already had the Deathadder. I love the ergonomic profile, but this thing just fits great in the hand. That's what she said. Now, the Razer Deathadder, very infamous profile, Razer's longest running mouse design, and it just works, you know? Now, this is the Deathadder Essential. So what that means is you get everything that you get with a normal Deathadder, except when it comes to RGB, you only get G, aka green, and you get a maximum of up to 6400 DPI. The Model D, on the other hand, you can crank that Soulja Boy all the way up to 12,000 DPI. But again, on the newer models of the Deathadder, you can also get pretty high. I believe the V2, and I will confirm or put it on this video if I'm wrong, but I believe the V2 can actually go up to like 20,000 DPI. Future me will confirm or deny. But no more messing around. I want to show you some sick B-roll, the differences between the software, between Razer Synapse and the software for the Model D. So let's hop into it.
Starting off with the Razer Deathadder Essential. So this is sort of the bare bones, most basic mouse that you can get from Razer. It features the great ergonomics of the Deathadder family. However, you only get 2 side buttons and the RGB is non-existent as you only get green. But it's not a bad mouse. Now swap to the glorious Model D in all its RGB glory. So right off the bat, you can tell that it has the hexagon holes in it to aid in weight reduction, as well as give the mouse a cool gamer look. But aside from the gamer looks of the RGB and all the hexagon holes, this thing's actually pretty lightweight, but still has a great ergonomic feel in your hands, especially compared to like the Model O, which is just an ambidextrous mouse. This thing is definitely made for right-handed individuals, and it features some buttons on the side similar to the Deathadder, but in addition to that, you get a button on the top of the mouse that is pretty much in line with any other gaming mouse on the market. On the bottom, you've got 100% virgin PTFE gliders, which definitely makes this thing glide across the mat, super slick. But when you put the Deathadder versus the Glorious Model D side by side, you'll notice that they're pretty similar in size in comparison. The biggest difference is the weight. The Deathadder Essential comes in just over 90 grams, and the Glorious Model D is 68. But like I said, profile is pretty much the same on these ergonomic mice. The side profile is very similar, as well as the button placement on the sides. The Deathadder has a little bit larger buttons, but the footprint is also pretty much the same. The biggest difference is going to be in the weight and how these things move across the mouse pad. But both are great options for ergonomic gaming mice. Now let's take a look at the software. Now with the Deathadder Essential, you're going to be in Razer Synapse. So as you can tell here, you've got your standard button clicks as well as the Razer Hypershift, which allows you to essentially bind different functions at the press of a key. On performance side of things, you'll see that this mouse has a max DPI of 6400, which is pretty good for most people, but if you're a gamer and you want those finite adjustments, you'll want a little bit more. Now in terms of the polling rate, you've got the industry standard of 1000 Hertz. But other than that, there's not too much that you can do on the performance side. Now you can change the lighting from a static green to a breathing green, but again, you don't have full RGB on the Deathadder Essential. Now with the Model D, you have Glorious's proprietary software specific to this mouse. You've got a pretty basic DPI slider that you can change to different profiles. So essentially you can change your profile for what you want your max DPI. Then you've got all kinds of different lighting modes. You've got full RGB, you've got breathing, you've got static, all of that. Now Glorious takes it a step further with liftoff distance for you gamers out there, so you can change that, as well as the polling rate at the industry standard of 1000 Hertz. Now debounce time is an advanced user feature, so definitely look this up before you start changing it, but nevertheless you can change it on the Glorious Model D. Now again, much like the Deathadder, you've got all of your binds that you can change these keys to. So you've got the two side buttons, as well as scroll wheel and then a top button. Now differing from the Deathadder, you can actually set these custom macros in Glorious's software. So this is something that Razer Synapse doesn't have, but it's a pretty cool feature nevertheless. Now let's talk price. So I pulled up the Razer Deathadder Essential here in white to kind of give you that comparison. Coming in at 26 bucks, heck of a deal. The Glorious Model D, 49 bucks, awesome price there as well. So all in all, the Glorious Model D is a perfect upgrade if you are rocking something like a Deathadder or another ergonomic mouse option. And with the Model D, you get a lightweight ergonomic mouse that you can use for content creation, gaming, video editing, anything like that. And it feels great in the hand, and it really is just a great upgrade from a Deathadder Essential. Now, to be fair, you could upgrade to the V2 version of the Deathadder or the V3 Pro and get a lot more features and different weight with that. But to summarize, the Model D is a perfect upgrade if you're looking for a lightweight ergonomic mouse that fits really any budget.
So that's it, guys. As you can tell, Model D, kind of a massive upgrade for me versus the Deathadder Essential. Again, not a comparison between the Model D and the current gen Deathadders because they're going to be pretty similar as you saw. However, you'll find 0 holes or hexagon patterns in the Deathadder on the new generations, just saying. And as far as Glorious goes, they kind of did what they do best. Made a lightweight, decently affordable, high performance, dope looking mouse that I will now be able to use for content creation, gaming, video editing, etc. I also cannot wait to put the white cable on because they sent it to me with the G-Skates, but I realized that I have to take the whole mouse apart. #lazy, and I just haven't gotten around to that yet, but I'll get that in the next week here and probably post a clip about it. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for tuning in, and if you could drop me one of these, I would massively appreciate it. And if you like this video, tell me about it down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, there's just no point. What are you doing? Thanks for tuning in today, guys. Have a great one. And as always, stay happy, stay healthy. Peace.